gray sky, a biting July cold, and endless storms. This wasn't the beginning of an apocalyptic novel. It happened in 1816, and it forever changed the history of literature. At the center of this story is Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin, a woman ahead of her time, born in London in 1797. She grew up surrounded by books and the fire of bold ideas. At just 16, she fell in love with the poet Percy Bysshe Shelley, who was already married. They eloped to Europe, igniting a scandal in pre-Victorian society. Their life together was intense, filled with love, writing, the tragedy of lost children, and Percy's untimely death. But the spark that would ignite her masterpiece began on the other side of the world. In April 1815, the Tambora volcano in Indonesia erupted with a force that darkened the skies and cooled the entire planet. The following year, the consequences were brutal. The sun seemed to vanish. Snow in July, ruined crops, famine, and above it all, a gray sky that would witness the birth of one of the most haunting stories ever told. This was 1816, later known as the Year Without a Summer. Under that strange, almost apocalyptic atmosphere, the 18-year-old Mary traveled with Percy to Geneva, Switzerland. There, they joined the infamous poet Lord Byron, who had rented the Villa Diodati, a grand mansion by the lake. Trapped indoors for days by relentless storms, they filled the hours with intellectual debate and ghost stories, alongside Byron's physician John Polidori. And it was on one of those stormy nights, after reading ghost stories and discussing galvanism, the idea of reanimating bodies with electricity, that Byron proposed a challenge that would change history. Each of us will write a ghost story. Days went by, and Mary struggled for inspiration, until one night she had a waking dream that would haunt her forever. As she described it, I saw the pale student of unhallowed arts kneeling beside the thing he had put together. I saw the hideous phantasm of a man, stretched out, and then, on the working of some powerful engine, show signs of life and stir with an uneasy, half-vital motion. She woke up terrified, but with an idea that would shape our modern anxieties and give a name to our Frankenstein complex. Thus was born Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus, first published anonymously in 1818, when Mary was only 20. But Frankenstein is much more than a Gothic tale. It is a meditation on what happens when man tries to play God, a story that blends philosophy, science, and horror to reflect on artificial life, moral responsibility, loneliness, and rejection. Themes that, 2 centuries later, remain uncannily relevant. At the time, reactions were divided. Some called it immoral or absurd, others too dark to have come from the pen of a young woman. But after pirated editions and stage adaptations, the revised 1831 edition, finally signed by Mary Shelley, sealed the novel's place as an absolute classic, and helped give birth to the genre we now call science fiction.